talking about your voiceover artist career, like, did you take any special training, you know, for pursuing your career?
I did. I took classes with a famous actor here in Atlanta, Stuart Culpepper, and he was a theater actor as well as a voice actor. And for anybody watching your show who wants to get into voiceover, voiceover is the opposite of theater acting, because theater,
Mhm.
you're projecting and you're trying to reach out to a big audience. But voiceover, you're like 4, 6 inches away from the microphone, so it's very concentrated, it's very intense, and you do not project. And so it's very interesting. All the different aspects of acting have their own particular skill set. So I did have a coach, and when I came out as the voice of Siri, I had been doing that type of work for a long time, and so I did take some coaching to try to get me back into a more fluid type of speaking, because when you're reading something like this every day, that's how you tend to sound, and so you can get into a little rut. And so I think it's always important to refresh what you're doing, to keep taking courses, to keep learning. And of course, everything, styles change, trends, there are different trends. Right now, and
Yeah.
this has been going on for a long time now, the trend in advertising is to sound like the guy next door, to not sound
Hmm.
professional, not sound like an announcer. And so, it's yeah, everything evolves, and you have to kind of keep up with it.
That's right. And I think right now, when everything is digital, uh, every every month, or I can say every week, there are new trends coming up.
Yes.
So I think definitely we have to keep up with it. And also, any other advice you would like to give, the people who are wanting to do something in this field?
Well, there are certain skills that you have to have. First of all, you have to have a decent voice, but also you have to be able to read well. It's not as important as it used to be years ago, before technology made it so easy to fix things. Um, but if you want to be successful, it's helpful for you to be able to do it right the first time, and for the client that you're working with, or the producer. So anyone that is really, really interested in some voiceover advice, please feel free to connect with me through my website, which is susancbennett.com, or you can just look up Voice of Siri and it'll come up. I have a document that gives some voiceover advice, and I'd be happy to send that to you if you're really, really interested. But to me, there are, like everything else, there are certain skills that you need to have. You've got to be able to read, and you've got to be able to read cold. If
Hmm.
someone gives you a script, and many times you don't get the script ahead of time. And so you have to be able to, just assess that and be able to read ahead. Um,
They're on the spot,
yeah,
I guess.
yeah,
So I think communication is really important, and being extremely adaptable, or I think is really important, because you have different kind of work that comes day in and day out, I would say.
exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's important to be, especially voiceover has become so competitive now because
Mm.
of technology. Anyone can have a home studio. You just need a smartphone, an interface, a microphone, and a closet, basically, and you've got your own studio. And so consequently, there are a lot of amateurs out there trying to do work. And unfortunately, because at this particular point in time, everybody's just trying to get something for the lowest price. And so
Yeah.
consequently, there are a lot of people that are working just because they're cheap. They don't really charge enough. Um, but the bigger companies are going to go for the professional people, and the people that do a great job. So, it is important to learn the skills, and it's very important to be as versatile as possible, so that
Yeah.
so that if you're working through an agent, or you're working through a production company, if some crazy, wacky thing audition comes in, you want them to think of you, because if you don't even get the audition, you certainly won't get the job. Everything's being done by audition now. And it
Yeah.
mostly was in the past as well. Although in the past, I worked very closely with my agent and I was exclusive with them. And so the client would come to the agency and say, well, I need this kind of person. And they say, oh, well, Susan Bennett, could do that for you. She's very good. She takes direction well, and she's easy to work with. And so boom, I would have a head start there. Now that is not the case. You're really competing against a lot of people every time you audition. So it's important for you to have the skills, the versatility. So, it's hard work. Just because you have a good voice doesn't mean that you're going to succeed in voice work, because you have to be able to act. Some acting is
Definitely.
definitely involved. Yeah.